I've been taking a look back at some of my favorite stories in my 18 years here at NBC 15 over this past month. And on the day before I retire, here is one of my favorites. It aired originally in May of 2018. And it tells the story of a Fitchburg man and a treasured family photo of his dad, a soldier in World War II. In the picture, he was celebrating the end of the war with locals in a small Czech village. And it is a photo that sent the son on a quest 73 years later.
19, barely a year out of high school. He spent what would have been the equivalent of my freshman year in college driving a tank from Belgium through the Battle of the Bulge, across Europe, into Czechoslovakia.
They say a picture's worth 1,000 words. To Jerry Huffman, this photo of his dad always spoke volumes.
We grew up with that picture. Every now and then, Dad would take stuff out of a box and show us a couple of medals he had won, different souvenirs he brought home from the war, and there was always the picture with this young woman and this kid. And it meant so much to him, John, because that's the day it was over.
It was the day the Nazis surrendered to the Allies in Europe. Jerry's father, Paul, was in the Czech town of Blatna and posed in a picture with a couple of celebrating citizens.
The emotion I take from him in that picture is he looks really tired, but he looks really relieved, too. He's 19 years old, he's survived a war, and he's going to go home.
Jerry's dad always appreciated the way the residents of Blatna treated the American soldiers and how they took care of them at the war's end. And in 1985, he and Jerry tried to go see the town and say thanks, but they couldn't get past the Soviet Iron Curtain. After Jerry's dad was gone, a question lingered.
I wanted to find out who that woman was.
That woman in the picture. So he spent years trying to track her down, was just about to give up when he asked the Czech ambassador to help. That led to a story in a Czech newspaper and ultimately to relatives of the woman whose name is Blatna.
They were having breakfast one morning, turned the page, and Mom's in the newspaper. I thought maybe we would get lucky and somebody say, yep, that's Blatna. She lived here from now and then, but she died 30 years ago. And they're like, no, she's 92 and she lives on her own, and she's dying to meet you guys.
During a week when residents of Blatna celebrate Liberation Day, dressing like American soldiers, driving American Jeeps, Jerry was invited to see the small town his father helped liberate. And mostly, to meet the woman in the picture. Taken 73 years ago.
What I see in his face is relief. The war was over. He wasn't going to die. You weren't going to die. The boy wasn't going to die. You could feel it, and you could see it in her eyes. And she kept looking at the picture. She'd pat my hand, she'd look at the picture, she'd pat my hand. And it was one of the most emotional experiences of my life.
The woman from that memorable day in his father's past was there in his presence.
Here's the point. It doesn't matter if you were together 10 seconds or 10 days. Yeah. In that moment, you were really kind. And that made him so happy. So for that moment, thank you. It was kindness. It was kindness what you did. I don't think he ever really got to say goodbye or thank you. So when I was able to tell Blatna, it was pretty emotional. It really was. And to be able to thank the town for what they did for all the soldiers, that was overwhelming. It really was.
Thank you. Thank you for your kindness to him and all of the American soldiers.
A new chapter and a new picture.
1,000 words don't even come close.
For my dad, I got to change his story just a little bit. And he got to say thank you. Even if I was the one delivering the message 73 years later, that's pretty cool. That's really pretty cool.
Well, Jerry tells me Blatna now lives in a senior living center in Blatna and is doing well. She is in her late 90s and is very grateful to have been a part of this story.